Snow fell quietly over the burning wrecks of ships and bodies. The forest outside the border camp had turned white, hiding blood and metal beneath the soft cover. Captain Jace Walker moved carefully between the frozen trees, rifle in hand, breath. Turning to mist, his unit had been ambushed. Only he made it out alive. He didn't know who attacked them, but it wasn't human. The enemy was fast, brutal, and terrifying. They didn't use guns. They used claws and teeth. As he reached the edge of a wide clearing, his eyes narrowed. In the center, dozens of alien hunters stood in a circle. They wore furs and armor, weapons sharp and cruel. But what caught his eye was what stood between them. It was a girl, but not a human girl. She was taller than any woman he had ever seen, with powerful legs like a lion, long orange fur covering her limbs, and claws that could tear through steel. Her face was fierce yet strangely beautiful, with sharp cheekbones, golden eyes, and long, wild red hair flowing behind her. Her arms were chained, her breathing heavy. Blood ran down her side, but she stood proud. Jace crouched behind a tree, heart pounding. He could see one of the hunters pointing at her, speaking in a loud alien tongue. A few in the crowd laughed. Another raised a whip. She didn't flinch. Instead, she growled deep and low, like thunder before a storm. Then something strange happened. Her eyes turned slightly and locked onto Jace's, even from far away. As if she sensed him, Jace stayed. Low, he could run. He could get out of here. No one would know, but then the hunter cracked the whip and she didn't cry out. She just looked at them with a cold, deadly calm. That one look told him everything. She had been fighting all her life. And now she was being sold like an animal. He couldn't explain why, but something inside him snapped. These people weren't part of any known alien race in the treaties. They were slavers. Traders of pain. Monsters hiding behind tradition. And she, this beastwoman, was just another victim. His radio buzzed. Command was calling for extraction. He didn't answer. Instead, he stood up. The wind howled as he stepped into the arena. Dozens of alien heads turned. The one with the whip snarled something and raised his weapon. But Jace didn't stop walking. Raised his hand high and shouted, "Let her go." The crowd froze. The beastwoman tilted her head slightly, surprised. Her golden eyes studied him. The lead hunter stepped forward and barked in broken English, "You buy her?" Jace looked around. At the dozens of armed aliens, he didn't even have backup. But he said, "She's not for sale." "She's coming with me." Laughter echoed across the snow. Another hunter stepped forward, shaking his head. "She is warrior slave. She fight now." Jace saw it then. This wasn't just a sale. This was a gladiator match, a blood sport. If he wanted her freedom, he had to earn it. The beastwoman finally spoke, voice low and strange. "You are not one of them. Why risk your life for me?" He looked at her, straight into those burning eyes. "Because no one else will." The hunter threw a sword at Jace's feet. "Then fight. You win, you take her." Jace took a deep breath and picked up the blade. Around him, the crowd roared. The beastwoman's eyes never left his. As the snow began to fall heavier, he knew he had just started a war. Not just with these aliens, but with something far older, something hidden in this frozen world. And she was part of it, but he didn't care, because something told him this beastwoman wasn't just a prisoner. She was a key to something far greater. And now her fate was tied to his. The sword felt heavy in Jace's hand. He wasn't trained for old-style combat. He was a soldier of the modern age, guns, grenades, drones, not blades. But here in this frozen pit, in front of alien eyes and cruel laughs, none of that mattered. Across from him, the hunter who had challenged him stepped forward. He was large, covered in gray armor made from bones and leather. His tusks curved. out of his mouth, and his eyes burned with violence. The beastwoman stood still in the center, watching them both. Her chains were still locked. She didn't move or speak. But her gaze stayed on Jace. The crowd began chanting in a strange language. The air was filled with the sound of boots stomping snow. Jace's breath came out in white clouds as he squared his stance, trying to control his nerves. The alien charged. Jace dodged the first strike just in time. The sword of the alien missed his head by inches. Jace swung back, grazing the alien's shoulder. The crowd hissed. The beastwoman didn't react. The fight went on for several brutal minutes. Jace was faster, but the alien was stronger. Jace bled from a cut on his forehead, but he stayed standing. He knew one thing: if he went down, the beastwoman would never be free. She'd be forced to fight again. Or worse, the alien lunged again, this time aiming for Jace's side. But Jace turned and used the alien's own weight against him, slamming the hilt of his sword into the creature's neck. The alien stumbled, and Jace drove the blade forward, deep into its side. The chanting stopped. The crowd fell silent. The hunter dropped to his knees, growled once, and fell face first into the snow. Jace stood over him, panting, blade red with blood. One of the elder aliens raised a hand and shouted in their tongue. The others responded, then silenced out the chains on. The beastwoman were unlocked. She didn't move right away. Her arms dropped slowly, and she looked at Jace with eyes full of something new: confusion and respect. "You won," she said. "I didn't win," Jace replied, holding his bleeding side. "I survived." "You risked your life for a stranger. For a beast. You're not a beast. You're just ... not human." She took a step closer. "They call me Kara, Jace." She looked down at the body of the hunter. "They'll not forgive this. You insulted their honor." "They will come," Jace nodded. "Let them. I came here to survive, but now I think I'm here for something else." Kara's eyes narrowed. "You do not know what I am. What I've done. I saw you standing tall while they whipped you. That's enough for me." She tilted her head. "You are strange, Jace Walker." Suddenly, a voice barked through Jace's earpiece. "Captain, you alive? We're picking up movement near your signal." "Extraction team inbound." He tapped his mic. "Not yet. I'm not alone." The voice replied, "Sir, what do you mean?" "Not alone? We're in enemy territory." He turned to Kara. "Will you come with me?" Kara looked around. The snow, the hunters, the bodies, then back at him. "They will chase us. Then we run faster." She gave a small smile, just a flicker. "I have nowhere else to go." Jace held out a hand. She took it. Together they left the arena. The hunters did not stop them, not yet. But Jace could feel it. They had just made enemies. Powerful ones. As they walked through the frozen woods, Jace asked, "Why were they keeping you? Selling you?" Kara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because they fear me. Because they think they can control me." "Can they?" She looked at him with a calm, quiet fire in her eyes. "No." And Jace believed her. The forest felt colder as the sun dropped behind the mountains. Snow crunched under their boots and paws. Jace moved carefully through the trees, blood drying on his face, his grip tight on his rifle. Beside him walked Kara, silent and alert. Her large feline ears flicked at every sound, her golden eyes scanning the shadows. They had escaped the arena, but they weren't safe. Jace glanced at her. She walked like a predator, silent, controlled, deadly. Yet something in her had changed. She was no longer just a fighter in chains. She was free. And maybe more dangerous because of it. They stopped at a half-buried structure, an old outpost from the first colonization wave. Jace pushed open the frozen door and checked inside. Empty, quiet, safe for now. Kara stepped in behind him and sat on the floor near the wall, her breathing steady. Jace sat across from her, wincing as pain shot through his ribs. "You're hurt," she said, watching him. "I've had worse," he muttered, pulling off his jacket to check the wound. Kara moved closer. "Let me see." Jace paused. "You're not a medic." She looked at him. "I'm not helpless either." He gave a short laugh. "Yeah, I noticed." She knelt beside him and gently touched the bruise. Her hands were warm, her claws careful. She tore part of his shirt into strips and wrapped them around his side with surprising skill. "Where'd you learn that?" he asked. "From prisoners." "Before I was one." Jace looked at her, but she didn't explain. He didn't press. Not yet. Outside, night fell fast. The wind howled. Inside, silence settled between them, heavy but not uncomfortable. Jace finally asked, "What do they want from you?" Kara didn't answer at first. She stared at the wall, her tail curling around her legs. "They want control," she said at last. "My people, we were bred for war. Hunters created us long ago. Strong, fast, fearless. We were made to fight their battles. But some of us changed. We wanted more. Freedom. Purpose. I led a rebellion. I lost." Jace leaned forward. "So, they turned you into a slave," she nodded. "They said I was too dangerous to kill. So they broke me piece by piece. Fights. Chains. Years in the cold. But I never forgot who I was." Jace felt something tighten in his chest. She wasn't just strong, she had survived something no human could. Not just war. Not just pain. Betrayal. Isolation. Loneliness. "You're not alone anymore," he said. She looked at him again, and this time her eyes softened slightly. "You keep saying that, because it's true." Suddenly, a sound cracked outside, branches breaking. Kara stood instantly, muscles tense, ears alert. Jace raised his rifle. Movement, outside. Kara moved to the door without a sound and opened it just a crack. Her voice dropped low. "3 shadows. Fast. Coming from the east. Hunters?" "No, these are not hunters. They are worse." Jay stepped beside her. "Worse how?" She looked at him. "They don't take prisoners." They didn't wait. They burst out of the outpost and ran into the woods. The cold wind bit at Jace's face. Behind them, growls echoed through the trees, low, inhuman, hungry. Kara turned and grabbed him by the arm. "We split up. I draw them." "Off." "No," Jace said firmly. "We stay together. You'll slow me down, maybe. But if you fall, who'll fight for you then?" She blinked, taken off guard by his words. "I don't leave people behind," he said. "Not anymore." She stared at him for a heartbeat, then nodded. They turned and ran together through the snow, side by side, as shapes chased them through the trees. The hunt had begun again. But this time, Kara wasn't running alone. And this time, Jace wasn't just a soldier trying to survive. He was something else now. A man with a reason to fight. Jace slid down the snowy slope, barely keeping balance. Branches whipped past his face, and his boots struggled for grip on the icy ground. Behind him, Kara moved like wind fast, controlled, silent. But even she looked tense. The howls were louder now. "They're tracking us," Jace said, glancing. "Behind. Fast too." Kara nodded. "Stalkers? They don't stop. They follow until prey collapses." "How do we stop them?" "We don't," she said. "We outsmart them." They reached a frozen creek at the bottom of the hill. Kara motioned for Jace to follow and jumped onto the ice, moving quickly upstream. He followed, boots sliding, breath fogging the air. "They can't smell us through the water trail," she explained. Jace nodded, trying not to fall. Every muscle in his body ached. His side throbbed from the wound. But he didn't slow down. A roar echoed behind them. Close. Kara stopped. One is near. Suddenly, from the trees to their right, a blur shot forward. It crashed into the ice, sending sharp cracks in every direction. It was massive like a wolf, but twisted. Its skin was dark and shiny like wet stone, and its eyes glowed pale green. It had no mouth, just rows of needle-like teeth. Jace raised his rifle and fired. The bullets hit, but the creature didn't stop. Kara leapt forward with a growl of her own and tackled it. Claws tore into flesh and the creature screeched. The ice cracked under their weight. "Kara!" Jace shouted, aiming again, but before he could shoot, both of them went under. Ice shattered. Water exploded upward. Jace dropped to his knees. "Kara!" Seconds passed. Then more. Then from the hole in the ice, Kara pulled herself out, covered in blood and freezing water. The creature was not behind her dot. She gasped for air, shivering. Jace rushed to help her. "You're freezing." "Can't stop," she said. "They will come." He wrapped her in his jacket anyway. She looked at him surprised, then grateful. They found a small cave nearby, barely hidden under a rock outcrop. Inside, Kara collapsed near the wall, still shaking. Jace quickly started a fire using his emergency flint and dry bark from inside his pack. The fire warmed the space. Shadows danced on the walls. Kara sat wrapped in a blanket, tail curled around her legs. Her long hair dripped with melted snow. She was strong, but even strong beings broke when cold and tired. Jace handed her a protein bar from his ration pack. She sniffed it. "Smells like metal. Tastes worse," he said, smiling. "But it works." She took a bite, chewed slowly. "I've eaten worse." Jace sat beside her, his body finally beginning to relax. "What were those things?" "They're called Garas, made in labs. Controlled by hunters. Once they catch your scent, they never stop. So now they're after both of us." She looked into the fire. "Yes, because I'm no longer just an escaped slave. I'm proof their control is broken." Jace looked at her face in the firelight. She wasn't just beautiful, she was proud, even now, even injured. There was fire in her heart. He asked, "What will you do if we make it out of this?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Free the others, those still chained, still in pits, still forgotten." "And you think one warrior can do that?" "No," she said, "but maybe two can." He nodded slowly. "Then I guess I'm in." She glanced at him, lips twitching. "You really are strange, human." A loud growl cut through the night air. Kara stood quickly. Jace grabbed his rifle. Outside the cave, snow crunched. Something was walking slowly. Kara whispered, "They've found us." Jace stood beside her. "Then we fight." "No," she said. "We run." "Not yet. You're still bleeding. I'll live." "I need you to live." Their eyes locked again. No more words were needed. Together they ran into the cold night, the fire dying behind them. The hunt wasn't over, but neither were they. Jace's lungs burned as they climbed the icy ridge. Each breath was sharp. His legs felt like lead, but he didn't stop. Kara was ahead of him, moving fast despite her injury. Her long hair whipped in the wind and her golden eyes scanned every tree, every shadow. The sun was starting to rise. A faint orange glow lit the sky, making the snow sparkle. But there was no beauty in that morning. Only danger. Behind them, the Garas still followed. They didn't rest. They didn't sleep. They didn't bleed like normal creatures. Kara slowed near a line of broken trees. "This place is old," she said. "Ruins from the First War." Jace looked ahead. Half-buried towers and rusted machines stuck out of the ground like bones. Strange metal symbols lined the walls, covered in frost. It looked like a battlefield from a forgotten age. Kara moved toward one of the towers and pointed. Inside, it might give us cover. They entered through a half-collapsed door. The inside smelled of rust and ice. Jace spotted broken screens, shattered weapons, and old bones, human bones. Kara's face turned serious. They died fighting. Jace nodded. Probably like we will. Kara turned to him sharply. Don't say that. I'm just being real. No, she said. You fight like someone who wants to live. Don't stop now. He looked at her, surprised, then smiled a little. Okay, we'll live. Outside, the wind changed. A deep howl rose from the woods. They're close, Kara whispered. Too close. Jace moved quickly. Help me push this. He pointed to a large, rusted beam. Together, they dragged it across the broken doorway. It wouldn't stop the Garas, but it might slow them. Kiera sat against the wall and checked the small dagger on her hip. Jace reloaded his rifle. She looked at him. Why do you care so much? About you? Yes, he thought about that. The answer wasn't simple. Because when I saw you, he said slowly, chained, bleeding, and still standing tall, I saw someone who refused to break. And I couldn't just walk away. Kara looked down, then back up. No one has ever said that to me. I guess it's time someone did. A long silence filled the room. The only sound was the wind and their breathing. Then the door rattled. Kara jumped up, claws ready. Jace raised his rifle. A massive claw slammed into the beam. The door cracked. Snow blew in. Agara's head pushed through, its glowing green eyes locked onto Kara. Jace fired. The creature screamed and pulled back, but not far. It kept coming. Kara lunged forward and slashed across its face. Blood sprayed the walls. The Garas roared, shaking the whole tower. Another one appeared beside it, then another. Kara turned to Jace. We can't hold them. Then we don't. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small, blinking device. Kara looked at it. What is that? Beacon, he said. Emergency airstrike. It'll take 5 minutes, she blinked. Then we survive 5 minutes. They stood side by side. The Garas burst through the doorway, claws slicing the air. Jace fired in bursts. Kara moved like lightning, claws flashing, eyes wild. She took one creature down by herself, pinning it and driving her blade into its throat. Jace kicked another back, then used a metal pipe to slam its head against the T. Wall. The seconds passed like hours. The beacon's light turned red. Almost there. Jace shouted. Agaras pounced on him, knocking his weapon away. Its teeth came inches from his face. Kara tackled it from the side. Roaring with fury. Together, they fought like one. Then the roar of a ship filled the sky. Jace grabbed Kara's hand and yelled, "Down!" They dropped behind the wall as a blinding light struck the ruin from above. The tower shook. Explosions rocked the ground. The Garas screamed. Then, silence. Jace opened his eyes. Smoke filled the air. Snow fell like ash. Kaera lay beside him, breathing hard. We're alive, he smiled. Told you we'd live. She looked at him. You're insane, and you're free. She reached out and touched his shoulder. Not just free, changed. Jace nodded. Something had changed in him too, and it wasn't over yet. Asterisk snowflakes danced through the smoke as the last pieces of the ruined tower fell quiet. The airstrike had done its job. Nothing moved in the ruins except for 2 figures resting against a shattered wall. Jace slowly sat up, coughing from the dust. His rifle was gone. His jacket was burned. But he was alive. Beside him, Kara opened her eyes. Her fur was singed in places, and blood ran down her arm, but she breathed steady. They had survived. Jace looked up at the sky. A dark shape moved above his team's extraction ship. A familiar voice crackled in his earpiece. "Captain, we have visual. Sending rescue cable." "Do you copy?" He tapped the mic. "Copy. 2 survivors. 1 human, 1 friendly non-human." There was a short pause. Then, "Say again, Captain." "You heard me. She's coming with me." The ship dropped a cable through the opening in the ceiling. Jay stood and reached for it, then turned to Kara. She looked at the cable, then at him. "They will not accept me," she said. "Your people." "They'll have to," he said. "You saved me more than once." She lowered her eyes. "What if they try to cage me again?" Jay stepped closer. "They won't, because if they do, I'll break every lock." She gave him a look half disbelief, half amazement. He held out his hand. She took it. They rose together into the sky, holding on to the cable, the wind pushing around them. Below, the battlefield disappeared under a layer of smoke and silence. The hollow door of the ship opened. A group of soldiers stood ready, weapons half raised. Jay stepped in first. "Stand down. She's not a threat." The soldiers looked unsure. One of them muttered, "She's one of them." Jace turned sharply. "She's not one of them. She's with me." Kara stood tall behind him. Her eyes didn't show fear, only pride. The commander nodded slowly. "All right. We'll debrief you both at Outpost Base 12. Jace led Kara to the back of the ship and sat with her. The engines roared, and the ship turned toward the human sector. Kara looked out the window. "This land... it was never mine. I was born in chains." "Now it's your choice where to go," Jace said. She looked at him. "And you?" "I go where I'm needed," he replied. "Right now, that's with you." She stayed quiet, thoughtful. Later, at the base, doctors treated Jace's wounds. Kara was scanned, questioned, and watched closely, but she never left Jace's side. Every time someone raised a voice or reached for a weapon, he stepped between them. Eventually, word spread of what she had done, of how she fought the hunters, how she saved a human soldier. Some feared her, but others were curious. Some even called her a hero. One evening, days later, Kara stood outside the base's wall, looking at the forest in the distance. Jace joined her. "They want to send me to a research facility," she said, "to study my blood, my past. I don't like cages." "You don't have to go. They said I'm dangerous." "You are," Jace said, smiling. "To anyone who deserves it." She gave him a look. Then she said softly, "I never thought I'd be free again. I never thought anyone would fight for me." "I didn't fight for you," he said. "I fought with you." "There's a difference." She stepped closer. "What happens now?" He looked at her. "The forest, the stars above. That's up to us." She nodded slowly. "Then we find the others. The ones still chained." "You're not going back alone," he said. She smiled for the first time. Not a warrior's smirk, but a real, peaceful smile. "No, not alone." The wind carried their words into the dark. Silent woods. The war wasn't over, but neither were they. And this time, they were fighting not for survival, but for freedom, together.